Tell me to how to handle my twin toddlers? I will gladly take your helpful and very unsolicited parenting advice. I was at the doctor's office today and had to bring my 15-month-old twins with me. These kiddos do not enjoy being cooped up in a stroller, but letting them wander around isn't an option since they both will immediately bolt in opposite directions. They have clean nappies, they've been fed and hydrated, so at this point any fussing is just stroller-related crankiness. In preparation for having to wait a while and wanting to be considerate of the others who were in waiting room purgatory with me, I packed the diaper bag full of endless snacks and sippy cups. Sure enough, 5 minutes and they lose their minds, so I instantly start giving them snacks and also walking back and forth in the very large waiting room. I am at the back area and not even close to being in anyone's way, and as long as I am pacing, the beasties will quietly munch away on their Cheerios. At one point I stop pacing to hear the doctor mumble the next patient's name in another barely audible whisper, and this is where cranky old lady decides to weigh in on my parenting. I hear a huffing noise and look over at her, and the second we make eye contact she says, "Oh my God, you have got to stop walking up and down that back area. You're making me dizzy. Also, you really shouldn't be feeding them that much, just sit down and they will relax too. Watching toddlers really shouldn't be that hard, hun." Thanks. Firstly, while my girls are very healthy, they were preemies born at 3 pounds/1.5 kilograms and are still very tiny, so I will feed them all the dang Cheerios I want. Secondly, I am doing all this not for myself or the twins but for the benefit of all those around us. Finally, I was waiting to find out if my scans showed cancer or not. Hooray, scans were clean, so I was all out of ducks to give at the moment. Now for the malicious compliance. I take her advice and sit down right next to her. Tons of empty seats everywhere, by the way. Instantly they start screaming their heads off, and what do? I pull out my book and start reading. Anyone who has ever been seated next to a stranger's baby having a meltdown, close your eyes, imagine that shitty moment and now double it to account for twins. Within 5 minutes she is looking like she is about to snap and suggests they might want a snack, to which I calmly respond, "Nat, I really shouldn't be feeding them that much," and calmly turn the page of my book. 10 minutes later my name is finally called and this lady looks like she is ready to give up on life. I however have read my first chapter in ages. I guess watching toddlers really isn't that hard after all.
Now to the comments. Twins and cancer screening? She's lucky you didn't shove the Cheerios in her rude mouth. Yay, no cancer. Edit, no, it is wrong to shove cereal in old ladies' mouths. Not meant literally, Reddit. But if you've never been a parent in public with an infant or toddler, you'd be surprised how many people are rude and in your face about nothing. If you choked them all with Cheerios, you'd be a serial killer.
OP replied. I briefly considered it, then I weighed the options and figured listening to 2 screaming babies was an even worse punishment than having a stranger shove Cheerios down your throat.
Besides, you really shouldn't be feeding her that much. Edit, first gold. Thank you so much. As a related semi-story, my wife would sometimes be out with our kids. She's younger than most, but was still in her mid-20s when we had our first child, and we very much made the conscious choice to have children. She's had old women at convenience stores look at her and make judgmental comments about her being so young and having children. They often assume she's a single mother, even if she was, so what? It makes me wish I wasn't working so that I could be there with her to tell them off. Sometimes old women are the most arrogant and judgmental pieces of shit on the planet.
Also, old women are still the generation that got married right out of high school and were pregnant right away. Many of the women clucking over your wife's age had multiple children by the time they were her age.
Right? The hypocrisy of it astounds me. As a father of twins also, I feel your pain. Usually, I just ignore all the people, but for the truly rude ones like her I like to calmly introduce myself and then very curiously ask which of my bills they were paying. Usually, I'll get a very strange look and an answer along the lines of they don't. My response is that until they do, they don't get to tell me how to run my household. That being said, no one knows the horrors of twins till they have them. Good luck, as hard as it is, the joy of them can't be beat.
I have two 13.5 months apart, and that's enough for me. Twins? Triplets? Are you ducking, madman?
OP replied. Triplet parents are the real superheroes in my eyes. If I ever saw someone mouthing off to a triplet mum, I would likely skip the MC and start throwing Cheerios at them. My dad had my sisters on those children leashes at the grocery store. Some lady comes up and starts berating him about how cruel that was. He unclips then and they both take of different directions. You watch M. He then rounds the girls up and puts them back on their leashes.
OP replied. Your dad sounds awesome.
As a father of preemie twins, born 2 pounds 2 ounces and 3 pounds 3 ounces, I had freaking ketchup bottles that weighed more. Who cannot remember anything from their first year or so? It's all a total lack of sleep and worry-induced blur. All I have to say is you got this. Way to go. We used to melt a tablespoon of butter and pour it over every single meal, anything to pack in a few extra calories each day. They're 8 now and doing awesome, but it was a long, hard road and I feel for ya. Hang in there, it does get better. Not necessarily easier, but definitely better.
OP replied. Tons of cheese, all the carbs, garlic butter, any extra calories I can squeeze into them. I'm pretty sure they get to consume more calories a day than I do. Preemie twins are pretty full on but also awesome. The current stage is pretty great, just not waiting room friendly. Also, I love hearing from fellow twin parents who have survived those first few crazy years. So, thanks.
I was a preemie twin and now I feel like I need to call my mom and thank her. I'm not a parent, but I know several people who are parents to preemie or failure to thrive babies, due to food or breastfeeding issues. The judgment was insane from random people about what they were eating, if the mom should just try breastfeeding again, etc. Even if I didn't, WTF? Before they can walk, 95% of the time you should just feed them if they're hungry. They can out-metabolize most things unless you give them straight sugar, and if it's not the case, odds are the parent can be told that by a medical professional, and not my untrained ass. Cheerios for life. I hope a bird shits on her head.
A flock of seagulls?
Hashtag mine. I don't have twins, but my second boy is severely autistic. Q random Thomas the Tank Engine behavior at 13 years old. I get a lot of looks and comments since he looks normal and behaves like a lunatic. I have discovered audiobooks and podcasts. Plug the headphones in, can keep eyes on boy to make sure he isn't destroying anything, but in a different universe.
My younger brother is the same way. He looks like a basketball player, but can quote lines from SpongeBob like nobody's business and knows almost every cashier at the grocery store we go to, which weirds a lot of people out at first that a normal-looking 17-year-old boy wants to know their name and how they're doing. People catch on pretty quickly, at least LOL.
You're my hero. I can't go out with my 2-year-old twins because they're little tornadoes. My husband had to travel for work once and I had to go grocery shopping with them, so I'm in the car mentally preparing myself for the chaos about to ensue in the store. We arrived, I put both of them in the shopping cart and they start screeching and jumping and I'm embarrassed trying everything from giving them snacks and their juice to toys. Nothing worked. I get out my phone and put them some nursery rhymes because I had to get that shopping done. They calm down and sit silently while eating their snacks. Finally. Until these women decide to scold me loudly for allowing them to use an electronic that's damaging to their eyes and then feeding them goldfish crackers. That's just so abusive. They threatened to report me and I just rolled my eyes and walked away. I just wish they could put themselves in my shoes before opening their mouths. It's exhausting.
OP replied. My blood is boiling on your behalf, those women sound like monsters.
At first I was like, probably shouldn't just give them snacks anytime they're cranky. Then I was like, I'd probably do whatever the duck I could to make two babies stop throwing a tantrum, so who am I to judge? Glad that your scans were clear.
OP replied. Yeah, you dropped the whole organic homemade food / cloth diaper using / never rewarding bad behavior with snacks thing pretty fast with twins. It's now been replaced with a just survive and raise happy healthy babies mentality.
Hey. I dropped that too and I just have one. You are doing great, OP. I'm an identical twin, now 22 years old instead of 15 months, and I can honestly feel for you. When my sister and I were that young, we were in our own world, and when we wanted to wreak havoc, you bet your ass we did. Twins are so difficult and I have so much respect for mothers that pull it off. You're incredible, and your daughters will be bad asses someday too. Much love to you and your twins.